My
Yep.
But anyway, the reason why, because I said, after Bernie Sanders lost, I'm just getting into my personal, why people who follow my timeline, people who know what I've been advocating for. Um, I have been very dissatisfied with the two party system, and I'm an independent. I always stress the fact that I'm an independent, and I just so happen to support Bernie Sanders. And when I look at my things that I care about when it comes to anti-imperialism, when it comes to criminal justice reform, when it comes to tackling income inequality, going after our immoral healthcare system, because there's a healthcare genocide of our people, and I am not one of the people that wanted to accept that. And people who saw my past and the fact that I used to be a big Barack Obama supporter in 2008, and then even in 2012, I wasn't a big fan as I was in 2008. I still supported his campaign against Mitt Romney in 2012. So after seeing the results of his presidency, where black income inequality, racial income inequality got worse, when I see black wealth tank, when I see Barack Obama open the Arctic to drilling, when I see Joe Biden is still in favor of fracking, even though we in an environmental crisis, a climate change crisis, I find those things to be beyond the pale to me. So I can't, in good conscience, vote for them, but I always think we should vote. I always think we should have a reason to vote. And one of the biggest reforms I think we need to make, because this democracy we have is a sham of a democracy at the end of the day, I think we need to elevate and prop up third parties to destroy the duopoly. But the question is, how do you do that? How do you do that during this current system that is rigged against us? Like I know I've been supportive of the People's Party. I'm big advocacy of voting for the Green Party this year. But people know where I stand on these issues. I criticize strategy when I need to be criticized, and if you're someone who want to see the two party duopoly be destroyed, ranked choice voting should be up there as top one of your top priorities. So a few weeks ago, I got in contact with Mitch here, executive director of a ranked choice voting advocacy group, and I've been part of the board, trying to help spread this message. I've tweeted about this issue multiple times. And the reason why I brought him on and the reason why I joined his group is because I like his strategy going at, in terms of implementing ranked choice voting. So this is Mitchell. I want to let him introduce himself. What originally got you started, and what got you initially interested in pursuing ranked choice voting as a solution to our broken democracy?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, I'm a little bit of a newbie, really, to politics because I was kind of apolitical for so many years, but it's so hard to be apolitical anymore because, the system has just become so dysfunctional. You can't avoid, being immersed right in it and seeing it right in front of your face, like so much suffering and everything.
Right.
But really, the first time I ever heard of ranked choice voting was when Jill Stein mentioned it.
Yeah. Same
And
here.
I was like, oh, that's interesting. What's she talking about? I didn't know. But at some point, I looked into it and I realized it was just blew my mind because I realized, wait a minute, there's another way to vote? Because all my
Right.
life you go and you see like there's three candidates, you put a little check mark by the one you want and you're
Yeah.
done. And it's my whole life has been like that. And to this idea of like, wait a minute, there's another way to vote? So that was really a mind blow to me. But and mostly because it immediately made me start thinking, wait a minute, when we do that one choice voting, we select one person, there's all these problems that come along with it. So, I probably should just mention real quick here what ranked choice voting is.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead for my audience,
Yeah,
just
so
in case
like
they want to know exactly where we come from. Go ahead, explain.
the perfect one for me is 2016 because I was a big Bernie supporter because of all the policies really meant something to me and seemed like they would change, materially the way that we could live and stop so much suffering. And in the meantime, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump just seemed like I don't see anything changing there. So
Right.
then, the question is, what are you going to do? If I vote for Bernie, or, Bernie had, of course, a run against Hillary, but this whole thing made me think, like, what happens if Bernie had his own party?
Right.
Because that's what you think is like, I hate this duopoly. I want another party. Like if Bernie would have gotten another party, he would have won.
Hey,
But
Mitch,
then you think,
let
what
me
would
say
have
this.
happened?
Hey, Mitch, let me say this because
Yeah.
people got mad at me a few days ago because I made a tweet. I was like, I want Bernie Sanders, the squad, AOC. Imagine a scenario where they denounce the Democratic Party and then either join the Green Party or the People's Party, and to help elevate that party. And it's so funny. I got a lot of people like that tweet or whatever, but also a lot of Democratic establishment operatives, a lot of liberals, they was very, very upset at me at even hinting the idea that we should have progressive leaders in a different party. And my rationale was, we need powerful, influential people to grow these other parties. Because if you look at the approval ratings of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party of Congress, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton of the past, none of these people has been popular. Like, people hate the Democratic Party, the people hate the Republican Party, but people feel trapped. So imagine if we had a leader like Bernie Sanders, AOC, Ilhan, strongly advocate for that party. Now, people said that Bernie Sanders and AOC will get destroyed in the media, and that's true. But once again, people don't like the media. People got to learn how to play politics. Politics is all about public perception. So if we come out and we support policies that are largely supported by the American people, like Medicare for All, ending the wars, for example, like, if they see what direction we're coming from and they see that they have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on their side, who are super imperialist warmongers, Kamala Harris voted against a 10% military budget increase that Bernie Sanders he put on the floor of the Senate, and he had bipartisan support, and Kamala Harris voted against that. And then, so Bernie Sanders have all the right reasons to fucking say, I want to lead the Democratic Party because you guys are voting against my resolutions. Joe Biden said he want to veto Medicare for all. So I say they have the argument to be made, and people are not happy about that. So Bernie Sanders can bring those people over. And I'm not saying we're going to win at first, but what if we got 5%, 15% bill gun on the debate stage? And once we get ranked choice voting in, we can be competitive. So I wanted to bring that up because I remember just people got upset at me because I'm 100 on board. I'm on board with what you're saying. I think we should pull these people over to a different party, and that's why I think ranked choice voting is an important way forward. But that's why I hooked up with you and continue to explain what ranked choice voting would do and why it's so important to grow third parties.
Well, that segues perfectly. Let me just say what ranked choice voting is for people who don't know.
Yep.
But then let's back up a second. But first, so let's just pretend that Bernie did run as a third party. In fact, Nick Browner was trying to get him to run as an third party back in 2016. I don't know if you remember that. But let's say he did. So now you're looking at you go into the voting booth and you go, oh, if I vote for Bernie, he might lose. And then we'd have to have Trump. So I have to take the safe thing and I have to go with Hillary. And that's classic vote splitting. That's classic one choice voting. And it's happening right now in front of our face too. Like everybody can see the Green Party's got the whole Bernie platform there. And then you have, Biden and you have Trump, and they have nothing that's going to materially change our lives in any way. It's just going to be the imperialist stuff you just mentioned.
Right.
But of course, who's going to vote for the Green Party? Because they know it's going to take away votes from Biden, and they know that's going to put Trump in. Like, it's completely messed up. That's one choice voting.
Yeah.
Here's how it would work. Let's back up to that 2016 election again. Just say, here's how it would work if you had three parties. Let's say Bernie was in one party, and you had ranked choice voting. You'd say, oh my God, Bernie's my favorite, number one choice. But if he doesn't win, I want Biden because my last choice is Trump. And you don't even have to put a number 3 in front of Trump. You can just forget it if you don't like him. Then when they tally up the votes, they tally up all three. And if none of them got more than 50%, they take whoever is the lowest one and take all the voters that voted for them, they take their number 2 choice and redistribute it. Right. So let's say that, anyway, that's how it works. I'll let you figure out how that would roll out. But basically, you don't throw away your vote. You don't sabotage all your interests by voting for the favorite person. Right. So, I mean, that's the whole point of ranked choice voting. And like I said, that was a complete mind blow for me that there's even another way to vote. It never crossed my mind there was more than one way to vote. Right. But then I started to understand, every day I started thinking about, wait a minute, one choice voting causes that vote splitting that also allows those parties to get continually worse and worse every year, but you're stuck with them. There's no way to get out of it. And it's a built-in duopoly. And, like it goes on and on. I think I even have a video about this on my channel that talks about, it not only causes the kind of vote splitting and the forced into a duopoly,
Right.
but it causes the candidates then to go about like 50-50. So it's no coincidence that all the elections you go to are about 50-50. It's because if one of them are way higher in the duopoly, that doesn't help them at all. They just want to win. They'd rather get like billionaire donors and stuff and throw away maybe some points in the split, in exchange for just, they don't lose anything because they can still win, because it's just a duopoly and you have to pick one of the two. And they're both in this race to the bottom, and they both are trying to make it easy on themselves by getting billionaire donors. And I make the claim that they're not only corrupt, they're maximally corrupt and completely unaccountable.
Exactly.
Just exactly what you see today. So it's not like, the proof is right in front of all our faces. But I want to, to segue into what you're saying, let's just back up a second, because kind of the bigger picture is, and I want to kind of tell you how I got into this national ranked choice voting.
Yeah, I'll let you hear it.
Deal is because you back up and you go, okay, this is nuts. We got to have a party to vote for, and what's going on, and everybody's saying we need a new party, we need the Green Party, we need MPP, the People's Party, but it's pretty clear to me, because I've been immersed in this one choice voting versus ranked choice voting for a while. Like, well, that's great, but those parties can't win. I mean,
Yeah.
You might think that, and a lot of people kind of, have an argument like, well, you just have to vote your conscience. But there's no denying that you're up against one choice voting. It's a big obstacle for you, because you do have to make that calculus. You do have to figure out, shoot, if I vote for Howie Hawkins, it's going to take a vote away from Biden, and I really have to think about that. Like, it's impossible to ignore that really exists. And so I know that even if if we got the People's Party, my biggest fear is everyone would jump onto the People's Party, or lots of people, and they would lose.
Yeah.
They would lose, and the Democratic Party would lose, which is I don't know if you could call it the next best thing, but I mean, the worst thing would be if the Republicans got it, and that's my perspective. But
Yeah.
so kind of looking at the big picture and how I got into this is, I thought, it's clear to me that, there's 100 issues that could be your pet issue. You could have, I want Medicare for all. I want to get money out of politics. I want to, do antitrust. I want to, tax Wall Street transactions. Blah blah blah. It goes on. And here I am with one choice voting. But what occurs to me, and I'm open to anybody's argument about it. But what occurs to me is, you'll never get any of those things, because you need to have candidates in office that are going to vote for it. You can't force them to vote for stuff, and you're going to be forced to vote for parties that aren't for those things that you want. But the only one that materially makes sense to me is ranked choice voting, because that means if we had ranked choice voting, we could get a party in that could vote on all those things. So it's like the doorway to getting everything else you want. But it's a little bit more than that, because again, like, why would my politicians vote for ranked choice voting? Because they know they're in a safe seat, because all of them basically Republicans or Democrats, and if they vote in ranked choice voting, they're putting their own position on the line, because the first thing that's going to go is Democrats and Republicans, because everyone is sick of them all.
That's why I don't buy their argument, and I talk about it all the time when they say, "Oh, Russia is like this big threat to our democracy, and Trump is this big threat to our democracy," because we have an answer to these so-called threat to our democracy. The one things we're talking about right now, ranked choice voting, getting rid of the electoral college. These are simple fixes that get rid of these problems that you guys constantly complain about. Because these same Hillary Clinton supporters, they still complain about Joe Stein costing them the election. Could that have happened if we had ranked choice voting? But that's a very important point that a lot of people in the Democratic leadership, they refuse to acknowledge that, because, as you said, Mitch, that hurts their power. It threatens their power. But so that's why I don't have a lot of sympathy for whenever I hear people. Because once again, I voted for Jill Stein in 2016, and I was a big supporter of her because, as you mentioned earlier, that's how I learned about ranked choice voting myself. I didn't know about it before Jill Stein brought it. She was a big advocate of ranked choice voting. And a lot of people that asked her about her playing the spoiler, she would bring it up. Why don't you support ranked choice voting? Oh, I can't hear you. I don't know what happened. Oh, wait. I wonder if they can hear you. I don't know what happened. One second, bitch. But I asked my audience if can they hear you. But yeah, they said they can't hear you. I was just make sure it wasn't on just on my end. You know what? You know what might happen there? Let's see. I'll turn the call volume up for you. See that? It's cool, bro. Just make sure we all good. We'll get this figured out. Do you turn your mic off by chance? So while he fixed that, any questions? Like, feel free to ask me anything. I can talk about how I initially met Mitch, and I always kind of dig into why I support ranked choice voting. But my mindset always been from the beginning. I can't not vote. I always got to show to the ballot box. For example, local politics have greatly helped a lot of people in Missouri because we got the Medicaid expansion passed. People in office are doing their best to fight against that. We got medical marijuana through ballot initiatives in Missouri. And also attacking right-wing senators. There's a very good, valid reason to do that. If you don't have anyone you want to vote for them, I mean, I will get... Because we got two crazy right-wing governors in Missouri. And I don't mind voting for a Democrat to vote them out, to be honest. And then once the Democrat get in, then I can support a progressive... a challenge from the left. I don't mind doing that because local politics is way more important. And unless I see like massive evidence of corruption, I give people benefit of the doubt. You can't give Joe Biden benefit of the doubt. He already a proven war criminal. His entire career, he been a shill of the credit card companies. So it's not like people think I'm more unreasonable than I'm actually am. Like, I'm not that unreasonable. If you are a Democrat and you support Medicare for all, if you gesture towards criminal justice reform, I mean, if you just have just a basic pro-working class platform, and that's your focus. Yeah, I can hear you now. Nice. I can hear you now.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. Like, no worries. Like I said, I was just pretty much talking. I can feel the room. But like I said, I was all talking about, like, I'm not as unreasonable as a lot of people think. But when I look at Joe Biden, I think beyond the pale. But if there's someone that was running against one of the crazy right-wing governors in my state, and they come on, at least have some common sense. Like, being a shill for a health industry. Like Claire McCaskill, I laughed when she lost because she was horrific. She was Hillary Clinton. Pretty much, we had Hillary Clinton as one of our senators in Missouri. She was awful. She fought against our medical marijuana initiatives. She fought against our minimum wage initiatives. So people say Republicans are enemies, which I agree with. But if Claire McCaskill is fighting against initiatives like medical marijuana and minimum wage, she's an enemy too. So I didn't support her. She lost, and I was happy about that. And like I said, this is a cycle of politics, and I wanted to play it that way. And if you're a Democrat, and I wanted to give you benefit of doubt, if you have at least decent policies to get rid of the crazy right-wing governors in my state. But once again, Joe Biden's beyond the pale because he already proven war criminal. But if you're a new up-and-coming Democrat and you don't have a war criminal past, Why wouldn't I give you a benefit of doubt if you at least can gesture towards the right way? But I was just talking about why I initially was getting to ranked choice voting, so wouldn't have to worry about this, because if we had ranked choice voting, Claire McCaskill wouldn't have lost, because I would vote for the Green Party candidate that was running for senator. Then I would rank Claire McCaskill second, and then I wouldn't put none of the Republican governors on there as well. Hell no. So then Claire would have won. She would have won. So I'm not here to play defense because our oligarchs are greedy and they scared of losing their power. I floated the idea of possibly running for office one day. I don't like if I get disqualified myself before then, I can't run. Like I'm doing research, but I won't do it. I won't waste my time. But if I ran, and even if I won a position, if I get voted out, I don't care. I'm gonna just do my thing. You know what I mean? But these people are so hungry and they are grasping for power so much, they become the very thing that people say we should fight for. Because if you are fighting against ranked choice voting and you are continuing to prop up this anti-democracy that we have, you're not a friend to me, bro. I'm sorry. I'd rather you lose and me having another chance at having someone who have a clean slate and then primarying that guy after he's proven to be a disappointment. For example, if I vote for a Democrat against a Republican senator, Josh Hawley, Roy Blunt, for example, because I want those people to lose. If I vote for them, giving him the benefit of the doubt, and then he vote for pro-war, pro-Wall Street policies, if he's end up to be massively corrupt, if he's making unnecessary deals with Republicans, if he's fighting against Green New Deal on Medicare for All, then I'm like, okay, bro, I gave you a chance. Just like I gave you a chance. Now you're out of here. I'm going to try and primary you. And if we lose the primary battle, I'll let you lose. And I don't know why people were so scared of doing that. And Voss like, I'm ready for struggle. Are you? I'm ready for struggle. If things get too bad, if Democrats things gets too bad, then when we need to have direct action. And once again, learn how to play politics. If you have leaders on that standing for the right issues, we can win this. We can beat the right wing easily. What drove me crazy about the debate and what the Democratic Party are doing right now. Ask yourself, Mitch. I don't know if you've seen the debates or not, but there wasn't one question that was asked about the homelessness crisis that's going on right now. Not one question was asked about a report that came out that said 50 million Americans said they may go hungry by the end of this year. And we have a winter that's coming up. And one of the most underreported tragedies that happen in our country is homeless people freezing to death during the winter. Now, combine the fact that we have 30 million people that are about to go homeless because of this economic crash, and then the fact that these people may freeze to death, we're going to see a humanitarian crisis like we have not seen. I don't know, in my lifetime. Imagine all these homeless people, they're gonna freeze to death. You guys gonna let that happen? And you guys don't ask one question about this. Go look at Joe Biden's tweet history. He ain't talked about this one time. Kamala Harris did not talk about this one time. Not one question during the debate about the COVID relief checks. Families are struggling. Nancy Pelosi doing her stupid bullshit trying to negotiate with Trump, not giving the working class anything because they want the working class to suffer so Donald Trump will lose this election. But no questions about the COVID relief checks. No tweets about the COVID relief checks from Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. And you want me to join your side. But anyway, I'll get in with that. Mitch, you're back. And we can get back to talking about Rachel Vaughn. And you heard me in a nutshell why I can't bring it to myself to vote for these unproven Democrats. To these proven Democrats to be evil. Like, people think on Twitter they think I'm way more unrealistic than I am, or uncompromisable than I am. I mean, if you decent, I'll defeat fascism with you. But if you a proven fascist yourself who write the Patriot Act, who's responsible for pro-war, I can't. It's hard for me. I understand. I live in a red state. My vote never count here. And I have friends in Florida and Ohio. I feel bad for them because they are killing themselves thinking about who they're gonna vote for. It's tearing them apart in the inside. I talked to a lot of them really closely, so I don't get mad at people when they said I have to vote for Biden. It's whatever, bro. You vote whoever you think you gotta do. But with ranked choice voting, that solves that issue. It solves the issue of there being spoilage as well.
I mean, once you kind of.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
You still on?
Yeah, I'm good. Discord,
Okay.
it went down just for a split second. I'm good.
Yeah, okay. Once you wrap your head around the fact that there's ranked choice voting and there's one choice voting, and you can objectively look at, what's going on with one choice voting, it makes everything look basically ridiculous. And, we can sit here and get so upset about 100 things because they're all absolutely nuts. And the reason is they have you on a railroad track and there's no exit off that railroad track. It goes one way because you can only vote for Republicans or Democrats. That's it, period. And they have exploited that to the nth degree.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that, it just makes everything seem like a joke by the time you realize that. And then there's so much more to it because you realize, hey, I just learned about ranked choice voting, a few years ago, and it changed everything what I think about politics. What about professional politicians? I'm sure they know, they must teach that in politician school, like whatever. These people who do this for a career, they know damn well that ranked choice voting is more democratic and that one choice voting is anti-democratic and forces you into zero choice.
Let's
they're not,
hey,
why isn't it
Mitch.
on their platform? Yeah.
Hey Mitch, sorry to interrupt you, brother. Let's hold that thought. There's a question here. I want to kind of get your thought on this too. Hick Reynolds. I don't know what Hick political background is. He said, but he did say, are conservatives enemies? Are all of them enemies? What do you think about that? Any thoughts on that? I give my thoughts on this right after. Like I don't want to put you on the spot. I'd like to interact with my people that's in the chat here.
Happy.
But what's your thoughts on that? I'll give my spill to it. Go ahead, bro.
When I'm assuming the question is conservative voters. Right?
Yeah, he said all are conservatives evil.
I'm just going to say conservatives. I think the whole left-right thing is complete BS.
Amen.
I think that.
Amen.
I think that what they have is a media system that's basically 100% wealth class agenda propaganda. It's only designed to make you hate other people. It has nothing to do with fixing problems. You just went through all the list of everything that wasn't in the debates. You're not going to see any reasonable questions in the debates because the wealth class doesn't want that. The wealth class wants everybody to be mad at everybody else and preoccupied. So all liberals hate all conservatives, all progressives hate liberals, everybody hates everybody. I don't believe that at all. And Bernie proved it. He goes on Fox News and everybody gives him a standing ovation. People want policies that help their lives, period. You don't have to label them conservative or liberal or whatever. To me, the whole dimension actually politics is people versus corporations.
Yes, bro.
I think liberals and conservatives are not for corporations. They're for people because they are people. That's what I think.
Exactly. Man, you put it on the money there. And that's exactly why we get along. He's on the money. Now, let me bring this up. This is what I think about this. You guys realize this is why I hate the Democratic Party and Joe Biden so much. There was a poll that came out that showed Republican voters support Medicare for all at a 46% rate. The Democratic Senate and the Democratic Party voted against a resolution that put Medicare for all on their platform. That's not even proposing Medicare for all. That's just putting it on the platform. And they said no. So what did that tell you? That tells you that the Democratic Party leadership, Joe Biden, are to the right of conservative voters. So how can you tell me that I should hate MAGA or the average working class white person who may be misled? They may hate me, but I tell them at the same time, you can hate me all you want. I'm still fighting for everybody to get health care. I still want to end the wars. I want to bring your family home. I was in South Carolina. I talked to a military veteran's wife when I was canvassing. And it was a very interesting conversation because I'm an anti-imperialist and I let people know about it. And she actually put back on me for a little bit because I said we need to reduce the military budget. And she's like, well, I'm actually a military wife. I don't know if I support that. And I was like, wait. You misunderstand the context of the issue. We spend more than anyone else in the military and compared to any other country in the world. But homeless veterans, there are 22 U.S. veterans kill themselves each day because the veterans are homeless, the veterans aren't taken care of. And I brought this up to her and I won her back over because I'm like, so we got people who are supporting these giant military budgets, but they're not supporting you. They're not supporting your family. They're supporting the weapons contractors. That's who they work for. That's who Joe Biden, that's who John McCain, that's who these people work for. So John McCain, people always pretend, I don't want to get into it too much, but he one of the people that say, oh, we got to support military families. You are full of shit because your whole career, you did nothing for homeless veterans. Homeless veterans are being crushed. 22 per day. The Republican Party continue to vote against referendums that will increase the VA budget. Why does this issue mean so much to me? My dad was a disabled veteran who's now, thank goodness, he lives a better life now because he gets VA benefits. But he tells these horror stories for years how he's been denied by the VA because they spend all this resource trying to deny people their benefits. Because we live in a crazy right-wing state, and he used to live in Alabama as well, that would do everything they can to deny you your benefits. This is the Republican Party I'm talking about. This is the Democrat Party I'm talking about because they're complicit with this as well. So you want to tell me that I'm supposed to be friendly with them? I'm looking after your family. So when people ask me, do I hate conservatives? No, I don't. Now, if you're a crazy neo-Nazi, if you want me dead, I'll respond in kind. But that's not the vast majority of them. That's not. It's just simply not. Even if you look at the Proud Boy rally, which I'm concerned about them, honestly. But how many people are there? 100 people? 200 people? 1,000? Let me get even we say that's 1,000. What percentage is that of the population? And we had people mad at me today because I was talking about the Bill Burr thing. We just talk about that a little bit later after this interview. But I talk about MLK said a multiracial working class. He didn't just say we got to worry about black people. I had black women, I had black reactionary, black liberals, the people that I talk about, and the people I don't see as my friends. They was going after me. They're like, "Oh, you defending white women? You defending white people?" I'm defending the working class, and you over here trying to divide and conquer us. In a situation where we have a massive homeless crisis that's going to affect white people too. It's going to affect black people. It's going to affect Latinos. It's going to affect Asians. It's going to affect everyone. And you want to talk about, you want to say, oh, Nick is caping for the white man. Bro, who do you think you think you know more than MLK? You think you know more than Malcolm X? You think you know more than Frederick Hampton? All these people talk about having a multiracial working class. And you people are going after me because I said, I agree with I don't agree with punching at the white working class. Because we actually had black liberals like, yo, white working class people, they privileged as well. Yeah, sure. I guess they may have some privileges. But what's the benefit of actually talking about this in this situation that we're in right now? When we have a homelessness crisis, when we have a government that is rogue and corrupt. And that's why I like the People Party, because they acknowledge that. They say they want to get those white working class people on our side. And that's how we crush the duopoly. If we get them right-wing leaning libertarians who want to end the war. So to answer your question in a nutshell, that's why I don't hate conservative voters. I hate people that want to oppress my community, which means the conservatives that we can't move. Because I'm not delusional. We're not going to win out with Sean Hannity. But Sean Hannity is the Republican establishment. And people that support him, they back the Republican establishment. We need to get the people who are anti-establishment and people who are outside of that. And I'm going to get right to you, Mitch, but I want to tell this one story one more time because I talk about it on Twitter, but I don't talk about it a lot on my streams. But I met a lady named Becky in South Carolina when I was canvassing for Bernie Sanders. One of the finest ladies I've ever met in my life. White woman from South Carolina. She's a hardcore Republican. But she didn't like the Republican Party. She liked Bernie Sanders. The last time she voted Republican was 2004. Now, there are a lot of people that will cancel her outright because I talked to her and I moved her left significantly. I'm going to get into that very soon. She's still not going to move on the pro-life issue, on the abortion issue. That's just how she raised. She strongly feel about that. It's whatever. But she's still going to be our ally because she said she wasn't even 100% on board on Medicare for all at first. But then she told me a story how she heard Bernie talk. She listened to progressive leaders like Nia Turner. And she moved on that issue of Medicare for all. Right? And then it slowly started. She slowly started moving to the left. Slowly. She went from a Republican who was dissatisfied with the Republican Party. And then after our racial multi-working class movement, she moved to the left. And then it was funny because I was talking to her and she said, I still support Bernie, but I still call myself a Republican. I'm not going to join. I'm like, hey, that's cool. And I was literally probably I was like, I don't know why you're so obsessed with that label because you don't vote Republican. You don't like Republicans. So why you still calling yourself Republican? But after it took me a while, but after the end, every time I left South Carolina, she said, "Yeah, you're right. I don't consider myself a Republican no more." I explained to her the concept of libertarian socialism because I said there are a lot of right wingers who, and this is something I learned living in a red state because I sold cars. I used to talk to a lot of Republicans and a lot of conservatives, and I can outflank the phony right-wing libertarians, these shitty-ass Republicans, these right-wing propagandists, the Candace Owens, the Ben Shapiro's. I outflank them on conservative issues. What? What do you mean? What's more family values than a 4-day work week? What more family values than a living wage? What's more family values than end the war so military families don't lose their husband, their wife? What's more family values than increasing the education budget so your family can get a good education no matter what income you're at right now? And this is how I went over right-wing voters. Go ahead, Mitch. I'll let you. I see you were trying to. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, brother.
I was just going to say, how are they pro-life if that only counts for the 9 months when there's a fetus in there? What about the other 75 years?
Hey, that's why I have respect for Becky because she saw through that bullshit. Because that one thing Becky said, she said, "I'm pro-life, but I really believe in it," and that's why she said she liked Bernie. Because this is one thing I would love. I need to get her on my show. I ain't talked to her in a few months. If it's not left South Carolina. But one thing she said she liked Bernie Sanders because that's the first pro-life candidate I've ever seen. Like in years, and I was like, yes, Becky, and I love, like, she one of my best friends. I'm gonna go down here and visit her one of these days. I love that lady. Now what she said, she literally brought up, like, and she said, and if you want to get upset with her with the abortion issue, you want to get upset with her when because she's a little politically incorrect, but she's an ally, and like the one I ever seen, because she's canvassing with us for Bernie Sanders, and she flipped so many of people in her family. She told me stories how she had people who was racist against black people, and she got people to stop thinking that way. She got people to start supporting Medicare for all, and this is how we win. That's how we win. So I need to get her on the show, and I miss Becky. She's like the nicest lady. She got a farm out there in South Carolina. I don't want to get into her business. I don't want to do that. But she's an amazing lady, and she's just one of many Republicans I talk to that you can win over. Because my original point was, the Republican Party and the Republican leadership, they're frauds. When you listen to Ben Shapiro, when you listen to Candace Owens, what they're talking about is not consistent to conservative values, no matter how you look at it. No matter how you look at it, it's not consistent. Supporting a system that leads to this amount of income inequality, having a system that abolishes unions and abolishes workers' rights, where we went through this issue already, where we was like, we need to have a 40-day work week so we have time with our family. And now we roll that back. We have right to work laws in Missouri, where we getting screwed. We getting screwed because people are being forced to work 50 hours a week. They working themselves to death. And you want to tell me you pro-family? My dad didn't see me a lot because my dad was working. And and there are black people that said all the time, you have conservatives, they criticize our culture. But they were like, well, the black man and his family. You guys got family issues. Nigga, we are working to death. And then imagine if you're working 50 hours a week, you're still living in poverty, you are not at the mental level to be an effective father. You are exhausted. You live in poverty. You are stressed out. You are not there. So who more pro-family than me? Someone who I support a 4-day work week, I support a living wage, and I support paid time leave, family pay leave. What's more pro-family than that? You frauds. But if you talk and then once again, this is why I go back to the question. I know I'm rambling for a while. Sorry, Mitch. But that go back to the original question of, do you hate conservative voters? No. Because if you talk to the people and you explain it this way, they've been hit with so much propaganda that they never heard that explained that way. And that's how Becky wins over her conservative friends. That's how I won over conservative people that I work with when I used to sell cars. That when I talk to people online who make conservative, I bring that up. And I had a lot of people who go hit my inbox. Hey, man, your kind of progressivism is something I can be behind. I hate Democrats, but I can get behind you. And that's how that happens. What's your thoughts, Mitch, before we go back to the ranked choice vote? I know a lot of people in the chat. I'll get to some of their questions later, but we can get back to ranked choice vote. But what are your thoughts on what I said? I've been going for a while, but he got me brought up.
Yeah, you are totally nailing it. I mean, the way I look at it is they completely have you because of one choice voting. Yeah. It's going to be a Democrat or Republican, right?
Yeah.
So they've got you, and you can't get out of it. So it just keeps getting worse and worse. And I mean, everything you're describing is an oligarchy.
Exactly.
You know, everybody's losing abundance. We don't have any abundance anymore. We don't have freedom of, you have to work 3 jobs. You have to do all this stuff. It makes everybody miserable. It's like putting a bunch of rats in a garbage can. They start eating each other, and that's what's happening. And then you have the media like feeding it all. I'm telling you, it's the other race is causing the problem. It's these non-white people are causing problem, or whatever they do to instill all this anger and try to blame it on the other party, the groups. And everybody just eats it up because, one thing, you trust authority. So you're watching the news and you see somebody in a suit and everything, and you're like, well, they must be right. They're getting paid millions of dollars to say this stuff. It must be right. Whatever, it's hard to fight that. And they just have everybody fighting each other. And we should be screaming mad. Of course, then they say, don't be mad. You should vote or whatever.
Yeah.
They just have it. They have you, and you can't escape.
Yeah, I hate it, man. And
yeah,
they use that against us, and they don't offer us anything. And they want to shake the finger at me because I'm not supportive of the Democratic Party. I got a lot of people who got me, like pretty much the whole blue check army. The people I've been calling out today, that Bill Burr was talking about, they all got me blocked because I talk about the issues that the African American community fight for.
Well,
go ahead, Mitch.
I was just going to say, so let's back up a minute, because I know people will say, you talk to people and they go, well, we got to get money out of politics. We have to do campaign finance reform, because this is causing, the fundamental problem is money in politics, for example. That's a really good one. Here's what I say is, okay, well, how are you going to get money out of politics? By voting in a third party, maybe, that has money out? That would be one way. How are you going to make that happen? All of these solutions that we have, there's not a path. We're at A, we're trying to get to B. How do we get from A to B? Like, what's the path? So that's where I came to with this ranked choice voting. There's actually a path where we don't have to beg our politicians to vote something that's going to end up kicking them out of office, which is never going to happen. And so Maine showed us how to do it. So Maine, they signed, citizens just signed a petition for voter referendum. So voter referendum is, if you get enough signatures, they'll put an issue that you write on the ballot. And that's how many states got, marijuana legalized.
Yeah.
So that's what Maine did. They said, screw this, we're going to get ranked choice voting. We're not going to ask our politicians to do it. We're going to tell them to do it. So they got all their petitions. This is in 2016. And they actually got it on the ballot, and then it passed. So Maine, the state of Maine, has ranked choice voting. So that's a mind blow.
Exactly.
So
that's crazy.
We learned that you can get ranked choice voting without begging your politicians to do it. Now, you can't do that with money out of politics. You can't do that with any of these other issues. You just can't do it.
That's a solid argument.
Sure. So that's what really got me onto ranked choice voting, is that you can do it. And a lot of people have a lot of problems. Like, here's another one: election integrity. Okay, well, they're all in office because of poor election integrity. They're not going to fix it so that it screws themselves. None of these things are something that are in the people's control unless you can get it on a referendum ballot. So, and Maine showed us how to do it. So anyway, that was the seed of it. But there's more to it. So, and I hope you don't mind if I'm just.
No, go ahead, bro. Like you see, I was ranting and raving, so it's your turn. I'm passing the baton to you.
Yeah. This is the core of why I'm excited about this, and why when people hear this part of the idea, they're hooked. For one thing, we all know that ranked choice voting is better, but also we know that money out of politics is better, and all these other things. Medicare for all would be better. Everything would be better, but there's no path to them. But this one has a path, and how it works is it turns out that only 26 states have voter referendum.
Right.
But if you can get all those 26 states to switch over to ranked choice voting, you would have 208 electoral delegates. So that all of a sudden gives those states a hell of a lot of power in the electoral college. So the way this plan works, let me just explain the plan. This plan uses some leverage. What happens is, so This isn't just ranked choice voting, it's called national ranked choice voting. And what makes it national ranked choice voting is that not only does every state that get ranked choice voting by voter referendum in our plan, not only do they get it ranked choice voting, but they also agree to a pact where if another state or other states have ranked choice voting, then they'll vote for their electoral delegates based on the combined ranked choice voting total of all the states in that pact. So in other words, if you have 5 states in the pact and they all, let's say, pick the Green Party, then all those 5 states would put all their electoral delegates to the Green Party. So now all of a sudden, those 5 states have a huge amount of power compared to the other states. So how this works is if we can get, and by the way, voter referendum is just signing petitions. That's all it is. This is not rocket science. This isn't like.
And the People Party are already good at doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we know how to sign petitions.
Yeah.
We got that figured out.
Yeah.
But, petitions to tell your congressman to do something kind of don't work. Petitions to put something on a voter referendum work because they'll put an issue on the ballot, then you can just vote for the issue, and no politicians are involved. So there's so much power to the people, when it comes to voter referendum, and we can do that in 26 states. So part of this plan, here's how the plan works. If people were just aware that we could actually throw the Democrats and Republicans in the garbage and have completely new parties that represent the people, in 2024, if they knew, are you kidding me? I can just sign a petition and that happens. Well, then everybody would get behind this, and that's what this is all about. And if we can just get everybody to understand that, we can get those petitions signed in a heartbeat easily by the 2018 election. We could have ballot issues in 26 states where all of a sudden those 26 states have ranked choice voting.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's going to send a shockwave through the system. But here's how it works with the other 24 states, and I'll just throw this out because this is kind of the back end of the plan. In the back end of the plan, we also write petitions to the politicians that are in office, and these petitions say, "Hey, we want to join we want to have ranked choice voting, and we want to join the pact because otherwise we have no electoral control. Almost all of the electoral delegates are going to be defined by those states that have ranked choice voting. And if we don't get in this pact, what are we doing?" So it tells the congressmen in those states that we're doing something stupid if we don't join this pact because all these other states are going to be in control of the presidential election. So that's kind of how that works.
Right.
So in 24 of the states, we're kind of begging, hey, we want to get ranked choice voting, but we have a very good argument. The argument is because we want to have some say in the presidential election. That's pretty compelling. So that's how this works. We can get petitions in every state. If we can get the message out that the people are in control and the people can throw out the Democrats and Republicans and corruption and all the crap that goes with them, everything that you just said, we can just put it right in the garbage disposal and turn it on grind, which is what I want to do. And we can replace them with, let's say, the Green Party against Movement for People's Party against, other parties, libertarian parties, whatever. And there's no vote splitting. And we get to vote for the candidate who represents us. What do you think of that?
Right. And
so anyway, that's the plan, and that's why I latched onto this, and that's why this movement got started and why this organization exists. It's because we could have made an organization that supported, let's say, getting money out of politics, but there's no path for it. There's no way that people can take charge and actually do something. Here with this national ranked choice voting, the people can grab onto it and make a difference, and there's no politician that can stop them.
And can you imagine if, because I know you're talking about collecting ballots and the fact that people will be so excited about the idea that they actually be able to ranked choice so they can vote for the conscience. I think a lot of people will be very, very excited about this, especially when you look at the polls, the support for ranked choice voting once it gets explained to people. I mean, what's the argument against it? Now, can you imagine if you had Nina Turner, Ryan Knight, if you had a lot of these influential progressive figures supporting these ranked choice voting ballot initiatives? And that's why I'm very excited, because Nick Brana heard us out. And Nick Brana and the People's Party, they support ranked choice voting. It's on their platform. And if we can continue to get the word out and we can tackle with the strategy that you propose, I think we have a real good chance at changing a lot of one of the biggest problems with our country right now. And
Well, Nick, we're halfway there, because all of a sudden, a couple months ago, everybody said, "F this, we got to get a third party." And that whole, movement for a People's Party and the People's Convention, which was incredible. And the people who were involved with that, every one of them says, we need a new party. This is ridiculous. These two parties that don't represent the people, they just got to go. And everybody knows it. But at the same time, I'm biting my tongue, because, if that's all we did, I'm not convinced at all that we would just not drive right straight into a brick wall in 2024.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it seems like, no, you could take this thing, national ranked choice voting, which I've been toying with the idea of calling a movement for a people's intervention.
Yeah.
Because national ranked choice voting is just the vehicle to do it. What's really happening is the people need to intervene. This has gone too far. It's not working. It's completely dysfunctional. This is an oligarchy. And we just have to intervene. And, what I'm thinking is, why don't the people just jump in? All those people you just mentioned, Nina Turner, Cornel West, all those people who know we need a third party. All we need to do is take a slight detour for a couple of years, get ranked choice voting in place. Boom. We'll have all the parties, we'll have all the representatives that make us happy that we want by 2024.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I think we should do. And lucky for me, like, I want to, like, funny thing is, I got some news to break with you. We can do it live on air here. Because I'm looking at the chat now, man. You're killing it, man. Megan Etter, she's one of my friends from Twitter. She was like, man, you gotta make sure you post this on YouTube, and so she can share it. I mean, this is exactly the information I want to get out there, and this is exactly why I do what I do as the progressive martial artist. I say I'm a citizen journalist because I think we need more people like Mitch to be heard. I think when I do my Black Rose Brigade, when I have Black leftists on my show, my whole thing is I want to give the mic to people who have these very interesting ideas and who can launch something very significant for our movement. I mean, we have a lot of great leaders like Ryan Knight, Nina Turner, who are joining the People Party, and Marianne Wilson, who I've been very, very impressed with recently. And we are so close to expanding this coalition because the People Party and the Green Party will only continue to get more popular. Like, these figures are not going nowhere. Even though Bernie Sanders lost, we still have these figures. And I know we was talking about how we get these people like on board and involved with this. And that was, I can break this news now. I was talking to this guy. I know one person we want to get involved with this was Isabel. Am I saying her name right? I'm sorry. Is that how you say her name? Fiorella. Sorry, I'm being ridiculous. Fiorella. I'm being ridiculous. She's on the Combo Couch. She hosts that show, and I got a message from her co-host. This is just earlier today. Like I said, I was training today. I was doing my Muay Thai routine with my brother, and I came back and I saw this message where he reached out to me, say he wanted me to come on and be kind of a co-host and shoot the shit with them on the Combo Couch. And I know, once again, you wanted to get Isabel on board. She one of the people that's very influential, who can help spread the word. And like I said, I got relationships with Ryan Knight, and I got all the right people who follow me. All the right people. Brianna Joy Gray, Angela Walker, she follows me. Nina Turner. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to brag, guys. I'm making an overall greater point. Like, I'm almost there. Like, if we just get these people on board, can you imagine? Like, can you imagine the kind of movement towards ranked choice voting that we can make? You know what I mean? And that's why I'm excited about this. And I told him I would do it. I'm trying to wait for a response, but I'm very happy that there's an interest because now I'm able to bring this. I'm able to bring this to Nico because Nico's really close with Isabel. I'm able to bring this to a lot of people. Isabel is really close with a lot of those people in the progressive media sphere that we need to get to. So on the Combo Couch, I'm gonna bring this up. Hey, how about we bring my man Mitch on the show? He just killed it on my show. I'm gonna have the YouTube clip. she followed me on Twitter. Why wouldn't she see it? You know what I mean? Like this is what I'm trying to bring to the table. What I've been working on because Mitch made this happen. Hey, Lisa English is in here. She's one of my good friends. Happy to see her. But Mitch is making it happen because he got the background to run the organization. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to bring the progressive movement together so we can get on board with this. That's what I'm trying to do. So that's why I was super happy. Like this was like breaking because I saw that message. And I hope he was serious about it because I want to go on the show, talk to them, and we can bring this kind of stuff up because. And I'm close with Ryan Knight. I mean, I want to get her on board. I'm actually going to tweet at Angela Walker right now because that's who I want to get on my show because Angela Walker, she was amazing. I watched her post debate response, and she's all in on ranked choice voting. I'm going to tweet right now. Angela Walker, come on my show. Let's talk about ranked choice voting. Like, because once again, let's get all this on. Let's put all this information on the table. Let people know what's possible. All right? So, and I know you. Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah. I don't want to interrupt you, but
go ahead, brother.
I have something. Well, one thing I wanted to say was everyone wants to have that third party. I think you can prove, to me, I think you can prove mathematically that it's actually hard to build under one choice voting. It's not only hard to get your third party to win, it's really hard to build it. Because to build it, you have to go through this like valley of death thing where if you build the party and you get, let's say, half of the Democrats split off into the party while you're building it, that means that neither the Democrats or the Green Party could ever win, or the People's Party or whatever, because now they're split in half, and there's no way they could win against a Republican that wasn't split. And people know this intuitively, even if they never heard of one-choice voting, they never heard of ranked choice voting, whatever. But they voted it all their life. You know damn well that third parties always screw everything up. They screwed up. Everybody blames. We go back to 1912 when Theodore Roosevelt totally screwed everything up, and Woodrow Wilson was voted. But even more recently, like what's his name? When Ralph Nader won, everybody, so mad at him. Everybody knows this. They just know it intuitively, and they're just immediately skeptical about third parties. So even though all these, people that you're mentioning, Nina Turner and Cornel West, everybody's jumping into third party, everybody's already putting on the brakes. People put on the brakes because they intuitively know, well, third parties ruin everything. They don't work. They're never going to win. Everybody knows that.
Yep.
So they're fighting against that, and it would be really well for them to get, as soon as they got ranked choice voting, all of that goes away. You actually improve the chances of one of your split parties winning because it actually doesn't split them. It improves the chances of either one of those parties winning when you do that. And then there was something else I was going to say, but I'll think of it in a minute here.
It's all good, bro. It's all good. I was like, I'm just.
Oh wait, I know what I was going to say. I just say this. Another thing that's really important is, kudos to Maine because they have ranked choice voting, and then now Massachusetts looks like they're in line to get ranked choice voting, and also Alaska. So other states are figuring out how to do this. They don't have this national ranked choice voting. The difference is that in the presidential election, if you just have your own state's ranked choice voting, you still have vote splitting for the presidential election because you're splitting the electoral college.
Yeah.
So, in other words, let's say that Maine has this, and so, let's say for the 2024 election, they vote in the People's Party. So all their delegates go to the People's Party. But all the other states don't have ranked choice voting. So all it did was split the electoral delegates. But actually, national ranked choice voting doesn't do that because it combines all those states' results and puts them all into the same electoral delegate counts. And so actually, it bypasses the whole electoral college, by the way, as a side effect. So we'll never have a president be elected again who doesn't get the majority of the vote. They have to get more than 50% in order to win ranked choice voting. And in the case of national ranked choice voting, they'll get more than 50% of the delegates, which will represent more than 50% of the people. So there's something different here. It's really worth looking into this. Not only the fact that the people can control it, but it actually is a system that's far superior to what's currently out there.
Yeah, and it's funny. 'Cause I wanna shift bases on this because I'm looking at Hick Reynolds. He'd been a conservative in our chat, and it's funny. We were literally just talking about how we can win over conservatives. He literally said, "Yo, man, I agree with what you guys are saying." I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the good comments, and I appreciate the follow. I appreciate that, man. But that was we literally were just talking about that, wasn't we, Mitch? Because it's like
Yeah.
you can talk about these common sense, pro democracy policy points and initiatives like ranked choice voting, and you can get conservatives on board. Because what if there might be some conservatives who want to vote for Libertarian Party, but they don't want Trump to lose. You know what I mean? So they could be on our side on this issue, and they're going to be on our side on some issues as well. I'm looking at some. I'm looking at some issues. Hicks said he's pro life, like anti-abortion. That's okay. It's whatever. We can have a debate on that. But if we can have ranked choice voting as a movement, and we can win over conservatives like Hick and have the conservatives that will support it. That's what the game politics is about, and that's why I like what Bernie Sanders does, because Bernie Sanders he's able to drag people to the right and put bipartisan bills together, like the resolution to end the war in Yemen, for example, the resolution to decrease the military budget by 10%. He can put those forward, and he can get bipartisan support. I mean, Mike Lee was signed on to these initiatives. And we are not compromising our values by doing that, right? It's not like we're like, oh, we're gonna reduce regulation on corporations. We're gonna be pro like we're not. You know what I mean? We're not sacrificing our values by working with them, and that's why I think that's the future of the left wing movement, and that's why I have very, very strong disagreements with the liberals that are currently mad at me on Twitter, because they see that I'm willing to reach out to the white working class, the right wing, conservatives on issues that we agree with to get that done, to hold corrupt oligarchs accountable. And it's always funny when it happens, because I always go on these tangents about how corrupt Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, and the Democratic Party are. And then I'll always get some MAGA people that'll follow me after that. Some of them last, some of them don't, because after a while they see I hate Trump just as much. But they see me go after Democrats, and they're like, oh, he must be on our side. But then I talk about issues I care about, like economic issues. I talk about Trump. I call him out for being a puppet of Saudi Arabia. I talk about him being a puppet of deep state. And they're like, oh, some of them stay with me, some of them don't. But that's what the game is about. That's how you win people over. Like I said, I have right wingers who said I changed their mind, and they be willing to support my style of progressive policies. And I don't talk about it a lot, but like when I talk about potentially running, like people when I was in South Carolina, they brought it to me because I share these stories on Twitter. I can retweet them today if you guys don't believe me, because when I was down in South Carolina, I was live tweeting some of the success stories I had, and Becky was there for this one. That's why I'm gonna tell the story, because Becky gonna back me up one day on this. I was canvassing, and I ran into a rarity. A person that I don't know how a lot of people will handle this situation. He was a black guy who was extremely conservative in support of the Republican Party. I ran into a Candace Owens in the wild, but he was a guy, and I was talking to him, and I was like, "I'll support Bernie Sanders." He's like, "No, I don't." He was actually pretty nice at first, because he was appreciated that someone was willing to talk to him about politics. I think he was ready. He was ready, especially I was a young black man. He saw me like, I want to talk to this guy, trying to win him over and bring him to the right, and he was like, the Republican Party is the party for black people. The Republican Party is the one that freed the slaves. The Republican Party is the one who want to establish the nuclear family. Because the Democrats, they want to destroy the family, and black men are not being there for black people, because Democrats, they want to tear us apart. Democrat Party want us to kill our babies. This is what he was saying to me, and one thing he said in particular, he was going after Democrat parties and liberals want to increase single motherhood and that kind of stuff. And he said the feminist movement, all these movements that demasculate men, has hurt the black community because it allows single fathers to leave their parents. Like, this is I'm letting you know what his argument was and how I took it, how I addressed it. And I told him, I said, hey sir, what better? Because one thing he was talking about a lot. I want to bring this up before I get into how I rebut it. He was talking about black boys. He was like, what the liberals are doing, they are ruining black boys with their nonsense by having single fatherhood and with they emasculate by approving homosexuality and all this stuff. It is so ridiculous. But this is how Republican. This is how Candace Owens was think too. Like Candace Owens like bring masculinity back. Like this is the like black Republican talking point. And I found it doing the Wild, and it was an amazing experience. I always talk about this. And then I told him, what's better for black boys and black families than Medicare for all? You say you want to increase the prosperity of black families, so shouldn't we do that? Shouldn't we increase the minimum wage so black families have more income to have and take care of the family so they can afford education? Shouldn't we have a 4-day work week so the African American man you were talking about who's not there for a family will have more time to spend with his family? Should we have a living wage so the African American man can have real life experiences with their kids? Because guess what? I never traveled that much. I'm open about it. I'm very poorly traveled. One of the best education you can have is traveling abroad. People tell me about they learn so much by visiting other cultures. They able to do stuff like, because I have a friend on Twitter. I don't want to blow her up, but she's a pianist, and I know one who she's played a harp. But guess what? In the black community, you don't see that. You know why you don't see a lot of black pianists and black harp players? Because lessons cost so goddamn much. We play basketball. We play football because those are things you can pick up and be poor and do. Because you can go to public school, you can play basketball, you can join YMCA, you can join church and play basketball. But you don't see a lot of black golfers because you gotta join the golf club to learn how. You gotta have a trainer. Like one of the people that are my friends, I don't want to call her out or anything, but she learned the craft. I'm not gonna say exactly. I don't want to say exactly our information, but let's use pianist as an example. Do you know how much it costs to learn to get a personal trainer to do that? Black families don't have access to that. And this is the kind of stuff I broke down to him. He was like, he resisted me on some of the issues. I was like, bro, you don't have to be anti-home. But he was like, yo, you actually made a good point. You made a good point on that. And he told me I won't say I'm gonna vote for Bernie Sanders. But he said, dude, you actually did say something that I agree with you, bro. I won him over. Like this is how you do it. Like he had a concern, right? His concern was what's going on with the black families, right? And what's going on with the black community. So how can you call him a bad faith actor? His sin was coming to the wrong conclusions. But he had the well-being of the black family in mind. So all you have to do is attack the ridiculous right-wing framing that he's thinking of. And I'm like, yo, instead of directing your anger towards the immigrants, which a lot of them do, and directing your anger versus the homosexuals, go after the people who are preventing family value policies from being implemented. And that's how I won them over. I just want to go over that spiel. Because I know I'm just responding to a lot of the things going on in the chat. You got anything to add to that? I know we're about an hour and 10 minutes. Do you have anything to add to that or anything to add regarding ranked choice voting? Or what's your thoughts?
For one thing, that's exactly what Bernie Sanders would do. Is for the media frames everything in terms of these really simple talking points. Yep. Then Bernie Sanders would get up in front of his town hall and just speak to the people about exactly something that would help their lives that you can't argue against. Just like exactly what you just did. I mean, that's the model. We're all listening to this garbage coming out of these right-wing and left-wing media outlets. They're just completely wealth propaganda to try to prevent us from actually seeing what's going on. And so you broke through that, and you talked to this guy about something that actually matters, and there's no argument against it. I mean, that's just how it goes.
Yep. And that's why I went down there, and that's why it's important to have those relationships, because that's another thing what we're talking about here on the show, and that's is very relevant what we're trying to accomplish when it comes to building a third party. Because that's Nick Brown, and he's very open about his strategy. He's very open about the fact that we have to win over the white working class for us to be successful as well. So, Meganator said Nick 2022.
I mean, it's like we're so used to this left-right thing that we have to pass through it in order to make all our arguments make sense. But if you just throw that in the garbage can and just say it's people against corporations, you don't even have to justify this stuff. It's not like you have to go out and get conservatives. You have to go out and get people. That's all you need. Just appeal to people, and they're on the left and on the right, because left and right is just bullshit, basically.
Yep.
So I mean, that's my viewpoint of it. once you start watching alternative media like you and Jimmy Dore, Kyle Kalinske, all those people on YouTube, and they start to say stuff that makes sense, you can never listen to regular media again. You just realize, oh my God,
I can't do it. Like I was tweeting it. I was live tweeting it. It's funny because the only time I ever watch cable news is when the debates is on, and I told people were like, "Why the hell are you doing that?" I'm like, "I'm doing it honestly out of more of a curiosity because I don't do it a lot." So I was like, the debates is the one time where I kind of have to watch it if I want to watch it without a bad stream or something. So I watched. I remember I was just out of curiosity for the last like 2 debates. I would watch CNN, Fox News for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I was live tweeting it. It's so bad, and when you watch the way because they had a conversation, Joy-Ann Reid. This is one I was talking about. This is before the first Joe Biden Donald Trump debate. She had Hillary Clinton on, and you want to guess what they talk about? They talk about Russia. They talk about Donald Trump mean tweets. They talk about fill in the blank. It's standard MSNBC bullshit. You want to know what they didn't talk about? Rent relief checks. They didn't talk about the homelessness crisis. They was literally pretending that Joe Biden was a fighter for the working class, despite the fact that he was credit card company shield his entire life. So it's like, and then the hour I watch on MSNBC, and then I'll spend an hour watching Fox News. It's just them propping up these oligarchs, and when I talk to people, they'll have no idea why I hate Joe Biden so much. They have no idea. And if you watch nothing but cable news, how can I blame you? How can I blame someone who don't know about Joe Biden's record? And after watching an hour and a half of MSNBC, they didn't bring up one thing about Joe Biden's record. You go to Fox News, they didn't bring up one thing about COVID relief check, one thing about the homelessness crisis. They say Donald Trump his economy is doing great. The Black American working class is doing great. Meanwhile, there was a study that came out that showed that 1 out of 4 kids live in poverty. 1 out of 4 kids live in poverty. You saying that's a great economy? We literally got 30 million Americans that's about to go homeless. You guys saying it's a great economy. And then you have MSNBC. Once again, I punch right, punch left. Punch right, punch left. That's what I do. MSNBC, they had Claire McCaskill on. They had Amy I won't bring up this interview in particular. Amy Klobuchar. It was a few weeks. It was a long time ago. And MSNBC was asking her questions like, how did the Democratic Party counter Donald Trump when Donald Trump has such a great economy right now? How can you win over Are you really going to frame the question that way? So MSNBC, the reason why I bring this up is because MSNBC legitimately believes that there's a good economy right now. Because that's how they framed the question. They said them framing our capitalist system as the best system is them believing the right-wing talking points that trickle-down economics works. You know what I mean? So this is why I condemn the media so much. This is why they're not our friend. Because there's no wonder we got washed by boomers. Bernie only had like 3%, 4% of the boomer vote. Joe Biden is crushing this election. He's crushing Trump this election with boomers. Because boomers watching the Joe Biden Super PAC channel 24/7. 24/7. They don't bring up the fact that black wealth tanked under the Barack Obama administration. They don't bring up the fact that Barack Obama had a chance to bail out the black family, but he bailed out his friends in Wall Street. They don't talk about the fact that Eric Holder, he had Wall Street ties. He literally come from Wall Street. So that's why he got a job in Barack Obama's administration. They literally... Oh, my Discord crashed. I'm back. It only goes down for like a second every once in a while. But they don't talk about that kind of stuff. So these people, main popular boomers, they're crushing us because of that. The only optimism we have is the fact that no one in our age group is watching MSNBC. It's mostly just the boomers. Their numbers are falling. They're losing influence. The unfortunate thing is that Tucker Carlson and the right wing media sphere, they're powerful. Tucker Carlson is the highest rated TV cable show of all time. I want people to realize that. Of all time. And he peddles white nationalist talking points. And he's going to be a threat in the future because there was a story a few months ago that didn't get covered like the way it should have been covered. How they said they have Republican operatives. I know you probably had to get going, but we can do like an hour and a half. We about 1 hour 17 minutes, so we can do like another 15, and I'll let you go, Mitch, and I'll let you have the mic here. Um, but there was a story that showed the Republican operatives. They had said that Tucker Carlson is one of their favorites to be the Republican candidate in 2024 because of his massive popularity. So if you have, there's a lot of liberals right now that think that the only thing we have to do is just get rid of Trump and everything will be okay. When the Proud Boys situation was going on, they said we got to get rid of Trump because we got to fight white supremacy. Now, my question is with you: when Trump go away, do you think the Proud Boys gonna go away? What do you think gonna happen to Tucker Carlson and his movement? If anything, do you know what the Proud Boys and the far right says? They already making the prediction that the deep state, the deep liberal media state, is gonna rob this election for Donald Trump. So if Joe Biden defeats Donald Trump, they'll double down even more. And then they'll be even more radicalized and they'll continue to shift to the right. Because that's how Trump got started. Because when we had the first black man as president for 2 years, there was a lot of white people who got their feelings hurt. Let's be honest. And I'm not a big fan of Barack Obama. But Barack Obama's presidency radicalized the right wing. And that's what led to Trump. And that's why you got a guy like Tucker Carlson who's saying openly right nationalist talking points on his air. He's the most popular cable host of all time. So if you want to say that again, Trump is the answer to this, the right wing, they're not going anywhere. And what happens when you have Tucker Carlson and you have someone smarter? Because Trump is an idiot. I done a ton of videos about it. I'm not going to go and spill now, but I did a lot of videos about how Trump is an idiot and he's a moron. And he stumbled into the position he is now. He did good in 2016, and then he started listening to one news network and Fox News, and now he's stupid. That's why Joe Biden beat the fuck out of him during this election. But what happens when you get someone like Tucker Carlson who can become the most popular cable show host of all time, taking the idea of Trumpism and clean it up? Because what Trump has done, he's abandoned the working class part of his spiel. Because he used to go after Hillary Clinton for signing NAFTA. And she used to go after the Clinton Foundation corruption. And he went after Hillary Clinton for her pro-war votes. But why is he losing now? I talk about this all the time. He's losing now because instead of attacking Joe Biden on those issues, he pretended Joe Biden is some sort of secret Antifa, far left wing radical that's controlled by Bernie Sanders and AOC. The worst strategy I've ever seen in my entire life, and now he's losing by a landslide, and people are wondering why that's happening. Because Trump is not the same guy as he was in 2016. He ran a horrible campaign, and he's been brainwashed by the right wing. So what happens when you get Tucker Carlson, who didn't abandon those roots? Because Tucker Carlson, he talked about ending the wars. He talked about income inequality. He talked about reigning in Wall Street. Yeah, I think he's bullshitting, but he actually brings it up. So what happens when you get someone like him, who's more charismatic, who's not dumb like Trump, go against Joe Biden or Kamala Harris? I don't think it end well. Joe Biden already, by the way, is polling worse with Hispanic and black voters than any Democrat of all time. Well, not all time, of the modern era. I mean, when I say modern, I mean back into Eisenhower. If you track to Eisenhower from now, Joe Biden, as it is in the poll, even though he's crushing Trump, is doing worse than any Democrat with black and Hispanic voters. So what happened with Tucker Carlson is they will take advantage of that. We're able to ignite the white working class. So it's not over. So that's my last bill on that. Like I said, we about an hour and a half in. What are your thoughts on that? I'm not trying to kick you off, but what's your thoughts on what I just brought up right here? And is there anything else that you want to talk about regarding ranked choice voting? Like anything important to bring up? Like I said, we can. I think this was a pretty. I think like I said, I'm gonna cut this up. We have people like, you gotta put this on YouTube. I think I'm very happy about how this turned out. So we can. I don't know if we missed any important points on ranked choice voting. Go ahead, Mitch.
Here's one thing that crosses over about what you're saying. I know that one of the Republican talking points is that ranked choice voting helps Democrats.
Yeah,
or liberals.
They are scared about that.
It's funny how they say that. Yeah, and what again, I don't think there's a left and a right. I think that's an artificial thing that keeps people fighting each other. That was invented by the wealth class and propagated through the propaganda things, and it hits you constantly. And nobody, it's even hard to get out of that thinking. It's been baked into us so much. So But I totally agree with that. Like, we just want democracy. Give us
Yeah.
democracy.
Yeah.
When we have democracy, that split between left and right doesn't matter so much anymore. I mean, that's how I look at that.
I agree.
I totally agree with everything that you just said. This, Trump's strategy and all that. I heard one person characterize it. They said, "This is what scares me," because it was a really great tweet. He said something like, "Trump is the alarm bell, Biden is the snooze, the snooze button." I thought that's so right. I'm really afraid that people are going to, they tend to just kind of go to sleep, and the media is just going to like rally behind Biden. They're going to say, yeah, we need to invade Iran. We need to get rid of Venezuela because they have a horrible leader, and everybody, all the liberals are going to go, yeah, that's good. And then what's going to happen after that is everyone is not feeling any better. They're all suffering more and more. And it just opens the door for Tucker Carlson to walk right in,
Right.
And take it wherever that goes, which is going to be way worse than Trump. And that's what, people in alternative media have been saying this for a few years now.
Yep.
That's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, we got into this mess because the Democrats aren't really on our team. They're just pretending to be on our team, telling us they're on our team. And then we got Trump. Just wait, if we do that one more time, we're just going to get worse than Trump. I mean, we need a people's intervention. We need to do it. And we have one right in our hands where people can walk in. All they have to do is sign petitions. We just need to organize them so they're signing the right petition. We get them to sign petitions, and we get ranked choice voting. We get democracy by 2022, and then by 2024, we can have whoever we want. And if it's a libertarian candidate or whatever, it doesn't matter. What I want is democracy. What I don't want is anti-democracy, one choice voting. And by the way, I'm going to throw in another little thing here that I forgot to mention, but I really noticed.
Go ahead, bro. We got all the time, brother. Like, I wasn't trying to kick you off, so whatever you want to talk about, I'm good. I'm good. So go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
It's the messaging. So it's so funny because people have heard of, if there's somebody who heard of ranked choice voting, and by the way, most people haven't. Most people have no clue that there's even a different way to vote. It'll be a big thing just for them to hear that. People who have heard of ranked choice voting have heard this messaging. It's so milquetoast, so watered down. Like, and I've heard it, and I watch it come out of Fair Vote and this Represent Us, or pushing for ranked choice voting. But they say stuff like, it gives more choices. Elizabeth Warren just tweeted something, and it said, ranked choice voting strengthens democracy. My take on it is, it's like saying wings improve the flying experience.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, it's not, what they're not saying is one choice voting prevents democracy. We're living in a system that doesn't have democracy, and ranked choice voting allows democracy. I mean, to me, that's the framing that we should be talking about. We should be talking about going from a system where you have no choice. You think you have a choice because you could go Democrat or Republican, because the whole media is making it sound like one is different than the other, one is right and one's left. And actually, they're exactly the same thing. And what you're not seeing is you're not voting for the people. You should have a party that represents people against the parties that represent corporations, at least. We're not getting that. So people don't even realize they don't have democracy. They're in this fantasy land that they have democracy. And then the messaging for ranked choice voting that's been out there just so watered down. Like, another one I've heard is, it saves money on runoff election.
Yeah.
People are like, I don't even know what a runoff election is.
Yeah, that's why the messaging is so important. Yeah. That's why I like your messaging. Like, what is your biggest criticism of like the other groups that are pushing ranked choice voting? And like, I know you said like they say it saves money. Like, no, you gotta get directly to it, man. So what are you thinking about? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I mean, I can't blame anybody, because it's just like the people that want Medicare for all or want anything. You kind of have to play with the politicians, and you have to play nice with them. So I don't blame them, but we don't have that, because we figured out a way to not do that. We figured out a way to where we can force the politicians to do what the citizens want without just begging. But we can have a different messaging. But the messaging out there, my criticism about them is they're playing nice with the politicians. So they don't want to upset anybody. They don't want to be partisan. They don't want to be, they don't want to ruffle any feathers. They don't want to. Here's what I say: look out, Democrats and Republicans, because we're replacing you. So, I mean, that's not going to work if we're expecting them to, pass these laws. But basically, that's how I feel. People don't want the Democrats and Republicans. They want somebody who represents people. Maybe when we have ranked choice voting, the Democrats and Republicans will say, "Oh shoot, we got to get our act together and actually compete." Great. Right now, it's complete garbage, and it's been a race to the bottom. This lesser evil keeps getting, the evil keeps getting greater and greater.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually talk to people who mad at me because I don't want to vote for Joe Biden, and they said, and I bring up ranked choice voting. They say, "Oh, we gotta get ranked choice voting by supporting Democrats and moving them left on this issue." And if we get more Democrats elected, I literally had people make this argument on me very, very recently. One of the many people that was upset with me, they said, we got to work within the Democratic Party, and that's how we get ranked choice voting in. And when I talked to you, I was like, your strategy makes way more sense, and you go after those people. So why do you think that's a foolish idea to rely on electing Democratic officials to get ranked choice voting versus what you advocate for? Just explain that one more time for our audience that watching now.
Yeah, well, look, actually, the best answer to that question is look what happened to Maine. So Maine got, and actually on fairvote.com, there's a whole list of exactly what happened in Maine. So Maine got a voter referendum by signing petitions, and they got it on the ballot, and they voted it in 2016. So the first thing right away, the politicians, and this is Democrats and Republicans, because all state legislatures all across the country are primarily Democrats and Republicans, like, oh, ranked choice voting? I don't know if that's constitutional. So they put it to the state Supreme Court. And then the state Supreme Court went all through this. Well, I'm going to get this story a little wrong. I'd have to look at it to get it exactly right. But basically, they said, we're going to delay it for 3 years. And, it has to go through this constitutionality test. And so the people of Maine said, you're not delaying that. And then in Maine, they actually have a thing called the people's veto. So they all signed another set of petitions, and they vetoed their own Congress. Wow. And they vetoed them to say, we're not going to wait 3 years. Then, so finally 2018 came along, and they were allowed to use ranked choice voting for then the Senate, elections. And then one of the senators who ranked choice voting has those kind of rounds. So the first round is you look at all the first choices, and then if somebody doesn't win 50%, you recount to take the most loser position, and you redistribute those. This one guy said you could tell that if they redistribute those other rounds, he's going to lose. So he tried to get the court to put a stay on, or to take that off the table, and the court wouldn't do it. So so even the politicians that were in the elections were fighting the court, and this is what we're going to see in every single state, and that's part of the reason we need a movement, because we need people just to say no, that's wrong. We're using ranked choice voting. It's perfectly constitutional. Get out of our way. And if you're a Democrat and Republican and you don't like democracy, we don't want you in office.
Yeah, that's perfectly put. And I'm gonna put you on the spot because I'm looking at the chat here. We're gonna end on this. Chris Progress, he said, ask Mitch what he thinks is the best choice for this election. One will win either way. People heard what I thought about this on a long time, so I'm putting you on the spot, Mitch. We can end it. Just give me what your thoughts on the election is. Just give me wherever you're thinking. Wherever you're thinking, we can end it with that. And that's a good way to kind of end the stream here. What are you thinking about that election?
It is so weird because I've never felt undecided before. Never felt undecided. I just can't imagine voting for Biden. Like, it's just, I'm having such a problem with it. And part of it is, for me, I think, okay, well, we're going to have ranked choice voting in 2024, so I don't have to think I'm perpetuating this thing, because I'm going to actually break apart the thing. That's the plan. So that gives me like a little bit of more choice. Right. Because some people are saying, well, I'm not going to perpetuate the system. It's time it's come to a stop. I'm going to vote for the Green Party. So, it's put me, I still haven't figured it out. I probably will vote for the Green Party, and especially I'm going to look at if my state is not more safe. I'll do that. But I just have to think it through.
Yeah, exactly. And I can say this because a lot of people who actually follow my content, we have some new viewers here. But let me end it with this. I always tell people I don't really care who you vote for in terms of Biden versus Trump. The people that love voting shaming, if you're in a swing state, I get you voting for Joe Biden. One thing that I don't understand, because just like you said, this is the first time that a lot of people have been undecided. I've been one of the people that I used to be one of the people that used to mock undecided voters. Like, well, how do you not know who you want to vote for? But I feel you because this is a very, very tough election. I can't personally vote for Joe Biden, especially because Joe Biden could have won my vote. Believe it or not, there is a way he could have won this vote. If he would embrace the left wing of the party instead of still trashing it the way it is now, at least pretend to be towards some policy points that we have, and promises jobs for progressive leaders that we like. Like the way he shuns Nina Turner's and Breonna Joy Gray. Nina Turner and Breonna Joy Gray, Ryan Knight, Jimmy Dore, all those people are blacklisted from the Democrat Party and from the Joe Biden media sphere. Now, imagine a scenario where Joe Biden decided to reach out to his biggest critics instead of shun them and attack them. Oh, you're right. We should embrace Medicare for all. I was wrong in my support of the crime bill. You're right. We should have a living wage. And then he not only have the task force for Bernie Sanders, he bring Nina Turner on. Well, he banned Nina Turner for being on the task force. He brings Nina Turner on. He brings Brandon Joy Gray on. He listens to Ryan Knight. He listens to our group. And he advocates for policy. Even if he bullshitting us. If he did that, how can I not vote for that? If he actually shown legitimate grievances toward his record and he said you want to do better, we must win this election, we must defeat fascism, there is a way he could have won this vote. But he did the exact opposite. The exact opposite. He was literally attacking Bernie in the debate. I defeated the socialists. We're not doing the Green New Deal. Kamala Harris saying we don't support a fracking ban. They are doing the exact opposite of earning our vote. They are trying to crush our movement, and not by accident. They just ought to be winning this race. But there was an article that came out that said the Democratic Party is one which risks permanent damage to its party to defeat Bernie Sanders. Because their objective is to defeat the left more than defeating the right wing. So if you had a scenario, an alternate reality, if you will, well, Joe Biden did those things, I would vote for him. I would vote for him and I'll vote blue down ballot. But he did not. He did the exact opposite. So if you want people that want to get mad at me and blame me for Trump winning, which he's not, to be honest, let's be real, I don't think it's going to happen. But if Trump wins, you're not going to blame me. And I'm not going to accept that. And I'm finding them now. You look at my timeline. I'm finding these people because I'm like you. If you can blame me if you want to, because at the end of the day, I kind of want you to. I'm laughing at the people who blame me because if you blame me, that means the conclusion that you must make is that the Democrat Party must come towards our movement because they need to win. So I want you to come to that conclusion. I want you to do that. So I'm like, there's a way to win me over. They didn't win me over. So if they would lose, don't blame me. But at the end of the day, Joe Biden said get Republican voters. And they're doing it. They getting the boomer vote. They getting the white working class vote. They getting the suburb vote. If you look at the polls, there are a lot of progressives, honestly, that's in denial about that. But there's not. I don't think this is 2016. I don't know how you feel about that myth, but this has been something I've been saying for a while. I don't think this is 2016. I think we're in a different COVID because of the economic collapse. I think a lot of people, they just want a stable vote. I think they just want a stable leader. I think that's what a lot of people want. I don't want to give validity to this failed state by voting for them. That's how I feel. And I'm sorry. Like, we live in a failed state. We have a permanent state that decides the actions of the president. That's why all of them are warmongers. That's why all of them support Wall Street. That's why all of them support AIPAC in Israel, even though they have an apartheid state. Kamala Harris wasn't chosen as vice president as an accident. Kamala Harris was chosen because she gave a speech on AIPAC swearing loyalty to them, saying that we're going to continue to increase aid to them while we allow a homeless crisis to go on, while we don't have Medicare for all. Israel has health care for their citizens. Israel offers a college for their citizens. But we're going to give them money when we don't do that, when we're not taking care of our people? That's why they've been picked. And you want to give, I'm not going to validate that with my vote. So that's how I stand on that. Once again, we've been for all. I'm going to give Mitch the last word here, but we about to sign off now. I appreciate all you guys for watching. I put my Patreon link in the chat, so if you guys want to support me, I'll greatly appreciate that, and I'll have that when I put this on YouTube in the description. But what's your thoughts, Mitch? Anything you want to end this with, or any thoughts about what I just said?
I do have, my conclusion is If you want to change the system, you want something different to happen, I believe there are only two choices: revolution or national ranked choice voting.
There it is.
And so I encourage everybody to go to nationalrankedchoicevoting.org or nationalrcv.org and donate or volunteer and help us get this off the ground. And I encourage, if Ryan Knight or Nina Turner or
Yeah.
Cornel West or Marianne Williamson or Medea Benjamin, if any of those people are watching this, I encourage them to reach out and contact us, because I think we should start a movement to get ranked choice voting so that all our dreams about getting a new party in 2024 can actually come to fruition.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. Like I said, we can go all day, man, because
So much.
we on the same page, like on so many of these issues, and I'm happy that I have the voice I have. I'm very lucky. I never imagined this, so I'm gonna continue to fight for what I want to do. So I thank you guys for watching the stream.